Hello and welcome to the Thursday Night Circus.
This hype be the type of shit that keep me up at night. Never short of a breath when I spit my rhymes. Clever forms I express every fucking time. Bring me back to the light when I ain't feeling right. This life, something special when I'm on my grind. Never short of the stress when I spit the mind. But of course, never rest until I fucking die. For the more lives, since I rock the fuck.
Yeah, welcome to Thursday Thrillers, my brand new Thursday time slot for the rest of the regular season. I am your host, Jack Lusney, the Fantasy Football Joker. You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and on YouTube. I'll be coming in on Sunday with the live stream to help you with your final decisions to get those lineups set. You know the drill. Make sure that you like, comment, and super kick that subscribe button and help grow the show. And while you're at it, why don't you help grow fantasyfootballadvice.network? It's an awesome community building over there. It's bumping right now. There was like 32 new posts when I went and looked. So there's all kinds of awesome content going up right now from all kinds of great content creators. And if you want the opportunity to be a content creator yourself and promote your own work, it's a really great platform to help you get started. So we'll jump right in. I'm trying to keep these episodes a lot more condensed. So we're going to be doing Hard Knocks recap as usual. Finish up. I'm a completionist, so you know I got to get the last Hard Knocks recap in there. And then literally I'm going to set my lineups. Like we're really just going to go old school here. I've already got it set up, and we're just going to go through and set my lineups, and hopefully that'll maybe help you with some of your start-sit decisions, as opposed to me just doing like a really generic like start-sit, and then, you know, two birds stoned at once. I get to set like 20 different lineups real fast and just kind of get it out of the way. And do it on Thursday nights, which is perfect before kickoff. So this will be a new thing that I'm doing for the rest of the regular season, basically. And it's just like a cathartic little experience that we can have together. And then, like I mentioned, I will be doing also the Sunday live streams from now on to like really get in there and help you guys win your fantasy leagues. And if you ever do have questions or anything like that, you can always go find me on Twitter or drop a comment on YouTube, even better, because I will go and I will answer questions that I find in the comments after the fact. So, you know, please go and use that comment section down there. So, I mean, we started off with literally a hallway for Hard Knocks, which it's kind of like this cool thing. It's like this really long straight hallway where it's got like full-size windows on one side where you can see the field, and essentially what they're doing is they are going to do like a mural along the wall for the entire regular season. It's kind of like this cool thing that they're doing, and it tied in the beginning and the end of the episode. We jumped right into Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich giving some speeches because it was cut day. And so they gave us, and there was a separate interview where one of the Jets, I forget which one, but it was one of the Jets coaches had said that they were not going to air the cuts on Hard Knocks this year. And I'm totally okay with it. I personally think that that's like the humane thing to do. This is like one of the most crucial moments of a person's life, and watching their dreams get crushed isn't something that I was like particularly into or anything. So I'm totally fine with not having them in the room for that specific moment. And we still got the interviews after the fact. For especially the one that sucked was Tanzel Smart. He's a veteran player. I really thought they were going to keep him, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, but he actually did make the practice squad, which was cool to see. So, if there is an injury or something, he could get called up from the practice squad. But just the way that he fit in with the defensive line, the way that he was helping the rookie there, I think it was – no, it's not Will. I'm forgetting the rookie defensive end's name. But he was just very helping him in the sense of like, hey, I'll stand that guy up and it'll be easier for you to kind of like use your move to get around the other guy one-on-one. So showing that he's willing to do like the gritty work, not necessarily taking the glory of the sacks, but, doing the hard work of like setting that up. That's a crucial type of player that you want on your defensive line. And so after the Tanzel Smart cut and, some other cuts that were unfortunate. And actually, sorry, I kind of jumped ahead. Before that, even, we saw the two young wide receivers, Jason Brownlee and Xavier Gibson, who are both undrafted, and they became friends, and they have this friendship aside from being on the team. It was really cool that they both made the roster. Brownlee as kind of, I think the spot that Corey Davis occupied, fortunately for him, kind of opened up that extra X receiver. And then Gibson presents as a punt and kick returner, which is why I think he made the roster. So it was cool for them to make it. But after that, we saw Dalvin Cook finally practicing with the team, so that was cool. Seeing the interaction of Aaron Rodgers and Dalvin Cook together, Aaron Rodgers telling him, hey, I need to beat more on that handoff. Those kind of interactions are cool to see. We got an Anaconda highlight. He had it turned out they thought it was a knee, but it was actually a thigh injury. So he's working through that, which it's a crowded backfield when you add in the fact of Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook and Israel Anaconda, who they really like. But kind of under the radar, again, my guy Michael Carter just sneakily is, he's healthy and he's a pass catcher. We'll see how he works into the offense. I'm going to be interested to see the running back rotation for the Jets, especially early on while Breece is still going through that full recovery. Obviously, by the end of the year, I expect it to be a 1-2 punch, I guess, of Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall, assuming that both of them stay healthy at that point. But I definitely feel like Michael Carter is just going to be the guy that just unheralded but keeps mixing in and just having little games because of his pass catching ability. And then they went to see this Michael Jackson stage show, which was really cool in New York. It was like a theater show, and they got to meet the actor after, which was interesting to see the players interacting with a Broadway actor. And then it was funny because then the next day in practice, they ended up giving Garrett Wilson the nickname MJ because they were saying he has the same kind of moves, the shifty moves of a Michael Jackson, but on the football field. So that's obviously bodes well for Garrett Wilson. There's all kinds of hype around Garrett Wilson. I even saw him go as high as I think it was 106 in one of my drafts that I was doing the other night. So the Garrett Wilson hype is officially at full peak, and we're finally going to get the taste of it, but we're going to have to wait all the way till Monday for that Bills-Jets matchup. And then Jeff Ulbrich, actually, it was the wide receiver coach. I'm forgetting his name now, but he talked about having a high give a shit factor, which, again, it was just one of those things where it was a funny little speech that he gave, and it was just contrasted by Jeff Ulbrich, and every time he speaks and commands a room, you can tell certain guys are meant to be positional coaches, and I actually do see Jeff Ulbrich as potentially a future head coach. similar in like the Robert Saleh mold of a defensive minded head coach, obviously, but I see him as like a leader of men. He's excellent in commanding a room. You can tell that like his guys are ready to run through the wall for him. And as a former player, identify with him on a deeper level. Like, I can't say enough about the work that Jeff Ulbrich has done, which is hilariously contrasted by Nathaniel Hackett, whose humor just continues to evade me. Maybe I'm. It's just like the whole like. It's so like off-brand and like borderline awkward. It's like Michael Cera became an offensive coordinator for the NFL. It's just, I don't know. It misses the mark for me, but as long as it works for Aaron Rodgers and the offense, I guess it doesn't really matter. And then they talked about, the one thing I missed too, Aaron Rodgers has talked about his UFO experience in the past. And like, I guess I just like was asleep at the wheel and didn't really like tune in and clue into that. I kind of vaguely remember him mentioning it on the Pat McAfee show, but like this is a thing that's been like very common, and he went into it again on Hard Knocks, like went into the whole story. His friend Steve, whatever his name is there, was like at training camp, and it brought up like the whole alien story again, which was just really funny to me.
Definitively large in the night sky, moving from the left to right. Again, we're at like 12:30 at night here.
Yeah.
It was me and Steve and his brother that saw it, and it goes out of sight, and we look at each other and go, "What in?"
Eagle 1, Fox 2. Eagle 20, Fox 2. Evasive maneuvers. Squadron leaders, evasive maneuvers.
Yeah, that's a whole trip. Maybe they were doing ayahuasca that night. I don't know. It sounds, honestly, the thing, so it's like I don't want to discount completely like what he saw or sound like I'm just one of those people that's like I'm not willing to just be like I either completely believe or completely disbelieve that aliens exist. I kind of lean more towards like in a universe as big and expansive as the one that we live in, when you consider just the fact that like there's multiple galaxies, and when you actually like people use these words so flippantly, it's funny because like when you compare a million to a billion, you almost don't realize like how much of a difference that actually is. I think some people in their head are like 100 million is a billion. No, it's 1,000 million is 1 billion basically. So it's like when you consider how expansive the universe is in the fact that there is more than one galaxy, and when you consider just how big and enormous a galaxy really is, you're like, oh so first of all, it's like realizing that you're a speck in the universe, that Men in Black thing of like, we're just living in a train locker within a train locker within a train locker for another galaxy and in another universe. So it's almost like, how could you not say that aliens probably exist? But at the same time, like, are they really coming to what amounts to like the podunk trash, like probably worst corner of the universe, which would be Earth? Because like this has to be right, like the most unadvanced like society compared to like alien culture, if you're gonna get into that whole debate. Anyways, getting very sidetracked on this fantasy football podcast because of Aaron Rodgers and his belief in aliens. But ultimately, to tie it all back together, they brought it back to the wall and the mural that they want to paint. And, so now they've got the preseason up there, and they'll be doing like week 1 all through the regular season, and ultimately, ideally for the Jets, through the playoffs. and into the Super Bowl, which I'm not predicting for this year, to be honest. I think the Bills, it's their time, and the Jets are going to have to wait at least 1 year, in my estimation. But I do think that they're better than the Patriots, and they're not necessarily better than Miami, but I think that with the game on the line kind of thing, give me Aaron Rodgers over Tua. I do like Tua. I don't think Tua is a bad quarterback, but obviously the experience and talent of Aaron Rodgers, I think, could be the difference maker and enough to get them into the playoffs. And then, yeah, really anything could happen. But ultimately, I feel like it's still like, and I know there's lots of heavyweights in the AFC, but to me, I still see the Chiefs and the Bills as the clear favorites. I see the Bengals as being very competitive still, though I could also see them falling off a little bit and actually getting like surprised by the Steelers. Like if the Bengals somehow, lose a couple games they shouldn't and win only 10 games, and the Steelers are able to sneak 11 and steal that division, that could upset some playoff rankings and everything, though there is like the extra team now. So it's all over the place in the AFC, but I think the Jets have a path to being second in that division and ultimately landing a wild card spot. And then, yeah, whoever they face in the playoffs, anything can happen. But I don't think it's going to be this year. I see it more as like a next year kind of thing, similar to like how Cody Rhodes of the WWE went to WrestleMania, but like he didn't get the championship because they wanted to drag that out for another year, and ultimately, like he's gonna win it. He's gonna finish the story this year at WrestleMania. I guess it'll be in 2024 by then, but it's the same thing for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has to finish the story.
But it doesn't change a damn thing. I have to finish the story.
All right, so without any further ado, we're just going to get straight up into setting my lineups. It's really, it's the first week, so we're definitely just going to be looking at studs here. We're starting with, I should have pulled up his name. I apologize, on Twitter, whatever. Really great audio and video. I'm just going to actually go pull up his name really fast because it's in my DMs. I know I can get it really fast. Ryan Heath, duh. If you're not following Ryan Heath on Twitter, if you're following me, you're probably following him, or at least you very much should be, at QBL Ryan. Had a spot in one of his leagues that I was able to join, so that was really cool. And this team just came out absolutely killer. I was able to get Jamar Chase in the first, Joe Burrow stacked in the fourth. That's nice. So Joe Burrow says he's good to go week 1. I'm rolling with him. I'm not trying to put in my backup over Joe Burrow. And that Cleveland matchup could end up being pretty explosive. So I like the matchup as well. Derrick Henry, not the greatest matchup, but he's staying in my lineup, obviously. Najee Harris is at home, obviously staying in my lineup. The really only decision that I'm going to have to make here is whether I want to trust Michael Thomas from the get. And to be honest, my only really other options would be Zeke, Van Jefferson, or Darnell Mooney. So I'm just going to stick with Michael Thomas. So this lineup has pretty much set itself. I don't need to change anything. I'm just going to leave in Christian Kirk. Mike Evans is off the injury report. I had mentioned on a previous show that he was injured. He was dealing with a very small groin injury, but he seems like he's okay. Explosive matchup against Minnesota. Make sure he is in your lineups. It could be inconsistent, but this is one of those weeks where I definitely see him having the explosive upside. And I feel like his games are, his points are going to come in bunches similar to last year, and that's how he's going to get back to 1,000 yards. So you could see 150, 200-yard game literally right off the bat. Like that wouldn't shock me at all. So wherever I did draft Mike Evans, I got a value on him, and I'm going to be putting him in my lineup week 1, that's for sure. So we can move on here. This is a league for the Fantasy Football Advice Network. This is the Jersey Giveaway League, which is really cool. The winner of this league will get a signed Deontay Johnson jersey. So Lamar Jackson, that's locked in. Nick Chubb, that's locked in. James Conner is disgusting, but we're sticking with it. Now, obviously, Christian Watson popped up with the hamstring. That's concerning. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. However, with this league, I'm not that concerned because I do have Zay Flowers as a backup. So basically, like to me, if Christian Watson's not available, I'm just going to slide in Zay Flowers. And, same thing with Mark Andrews. If Mark Andrews is not available to me, no problem. I can just slide in Dalton Kincaid. That's a very easy change for me. Not always wanting to start the rookie tight end, but he showed out in camp. I could see him having a positive week 1. And rather than trying to go out to the waiver wire and just pick someone up, like at that point, yeah, just give me Dalton Kincaid. And I'll just hope for the best. But otherwise, again, I don't really see anything that I'm changing here, assuming that Christian Watson is healthy, like I mentioned, and Mark Andrews, same thing. But I feel like Mark Andrews practicing in a limited fashion is already a good sign. And if he's practicing in full by Friday, to me, he's basically full go. And the only concern by that point is if they just run Houston out of the building and he only ends up having to play a half. But to me, if that happens, it's because he's going to get a touchdown. So I'm feeling very good about Mark Andrews. And in this league, I was able to get the Washington defense against Arizona. So that should be a pretty tasty matchup. So again, this one basically already set. It's a 10-man league, if I remember right. Yeah, 10 team. So 10 teams, you should be pretty stacked all across the board. The Megala Bowl. If you're not familiar with the Megala Bowl, this is the tournament league for the fantasy footballers. I'm a huge fan. I went very wide receiver heavy in this league. And again, Christian Watson is going to bite me in a few places. So that's one I'm definitely going to be monitoring. However, in this, I have him in my flex. So if he's not available, I can go with Jamal Williams. I do like Adam Thielen. I don't think the injury for Thielen is that big of a deal. He's going to be dealing with nagging stuff all year because of his age. As long as he's active and playing for the most part, I'll be willing to play Thielen, but not over Jamal Williams, who I think is a smash play this week. Kendre Miller, as much as he's showing excellent recovery skills, still has already had a couple nagging injuries pop up, and Alvin Kamara is simply not available. So to me, Jamal Williams is absolutely going to be a smash play. I could even almost put him in over James Conner, but we're going to keep him just on the bench for now because Christian Watson with the hamstring, not 100% sure what's going to happen there. And then if you missed out on Washington Commanders defense and you're out there looking for a streaming defense, highly recommend Jacksonville. With everything going on with the running backs in Indianapolis, the fact that Anthony Richardson is a rookie quarterback, yes, he's an excellent runner. He also went 6 for 17 passing in a preseason game. So I almost guarantee that he's going to have turnovers because he's going to have ups and downs as a rookie quarterback. I would expect Jacksonville could even, get a touchdown off one of those turnovers. I could see it being that kind of game. I'm very confident in the Jacksonville defense this week as a streamer. And the rest of the team, Justin Fields, locked. James Conner, unless you have like a really good option to play instead of James Conner, even against Washington, he's going to be the whole offense. I'm playing him week 1. David Montgomery. Look, I know it's beaten to death, but obviously you see he's in my RB2 spot. If he was in my flex, I would change him. I'm sure you already knew that. But, hey, if you happen to be a new fantasy manager, I don't want to, exclude you and act like, oh, well, you should know. Look, you got to learn somehow, right? So make sure that you are not putting Thursday players in your flex spot. Next up, we can move on here. Headhunters Society. So this is a little more interesting here. This is a guillotine league. And so we're going to want to try and pop a big score. And, this is... What did I even do with this team? You ever draft a team and you're just like, oh, good Lord. And then it's like, oh, okay, right. It's 18 teams. That's why it looks so gross. So in this league, obviously, we took shots on Nick Chubb, Mark Andrews. Those were our early picks. And then we kind of waited for the quarterbacks. Man, if Cooper Kupp was not injured, Stafford to me would be the clear and obvious choice. But because he's injured, let it ride, baby. Russell Wilson week 1. We're going to find out if it's going to be real bad or real good. The rest of the team, I don't really see any changes that I could even make, even if I wanted to. So we're just rolling with, at least, hey, Puka Nacua should see some more work than he would have. So that's good. Sam Laporta. Let's go ahead. There we go. Our first switch. We put Sam Laporta in the tight end position. If for some reason Mark Andrews is not available to us that way, we can go and pick up a wide receiver, a running back, or a tight end, giving us full flexibility on Sunday for our lineups if anything really bad were to happen. Meaning, like, if Mark Andrews for some reason was declared out, which, again, I'm very much not expecting or counting on, but just always be prepared for the worst. Next, this is my league that I commissioned, my big money league. Which, hey, there's other people with way more money on the line and with bigger money. But for me, this is my big money league. It's $150 buy-in. There's weekly prizing, but the grand prize for first place is $1,000. So, hey, that's no small money to me. That's not chump change. That's, all the kids' Christmas presents and more. So, I went with Justin Fields, DJ Moore stack in this league, which was awesome. Nick Chubb, Najee Harris, that's locked in for my running back room. Chris Olave, that's smash. Deontay Johnson, I'm leaving him in. James Cook, I love. Tyler Bass and Philadelphia defense, that's easy. The only one for me, I do want to get Mike Evans into my lineup. That one kind of sucks. As much as I love Deontay Johnson, actually. Or is it James Cook? Is James Cook the answer? This is actually the first tough decision, I think, that I've had to make. We're 4 teams in. I'll probably overthink it for a while. But I think actually, because I'm going to have to roll out Kincaid, because I basically in this league, I booted tight end. I was able to get Okonkwo, who I still like for the breakout season, but hate that matchup on the road against New Orleans. I'll probably roll with Dalton Kincaid, so I won't necessarily want Gabe Davis and James Cook in my lineup. That could be folly, but I have that feeling that Mike Evans is going to get one of those spike weeks in the first week. So we're going to put him in the lineup for right now. I might change that eventually, but for right now, I think I got Mike Evans. Maybe Deontay Johnson is the one for me that ends up sitting, because San Francisco defense, do I really want to have to play Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson? I think actually maybe that's the one for me. This is full tilt. This is every fantasy football manager. If you're a true player, like you've done this exact thing where you're swapping the lineup, seeing how the projected points look and how the lineup looks, and just So we'll leave that one for now. Move on to my next home league, which is also for first prize of $1,000. And so this one, we are heavily invested in Thursday Night Football because it's a super flex league. So we have Jared Goff and David Montgomery right off the bat. And I'm rolling with both of them. I don't see any reason to take them out of my lineup. I did cover myself in case Mark Andrews for some reason is not available. Cade Otton is gross. It's even grosser now that I know that Mike Evans is going to be healthy and available. But if I'm forced to make a decision, he was probably the best tight end available to me. I think Hunter Henry's on the wire in this league. I might still end up changing that and picking him up if for some reason Mark Andrews again was not available. As you can see, Mark Andrews, I'm heavily invested across the board, so this is going to be a continuous theme for me. Thank God it's not Travis Kelce. If this was last year, it would have been Travis Kelce and a living nightmare for me. So if you're the Travis Kelce owner, I absolutely feel for you, because the only league that I have Travis Kelce in anymore, you'll see later on, is my one dynasty league where I still have my big share of Kelce. But otherwise, and most of these are, redraft or dynasties that started up this year. And Kelce's, the price of Kelce Mahomes just was too high for me in terms of draft capital. So I ended up taking Mark Andrews a lot because he was going in basically the third round. So again, this one, the only thing I'm actually going to change here is I'm going to put in Brian Robinson over Antonio Gibson. I have both of them in this league because I compounded a backfield. I feel like they are easily the 1-2 punch. And for me, it's basically I'm going to try and guess the game script. And I very much think that they're going to lean on the Arizona Cardinals, who look like an absolute joke right now.
Shots, explosives.
I'm going to lean on Brian Robinson, who I think is going to lean on the Cardinals to the tune of 20 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown. And then everyone else pretty much locked in. DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, Tyler Lockett. They all are locked in for me. I do love Gabe Davis, but I'm not starting him over those guys. And then, again, I have Najee Harris ranked over David Montgomery, but because of the Thursday matchup, David Montgomery is in my RB2 spot. So the last time I didn't really have the option to replace him in this league. Obviously, I drafted a decent amount of running backs. I feel like I absolutely crushed this draft. Now that I'm looking at the team again, having Goff and Herbert as a 1-2 punch for quarterback feels really good. having Nick Chubb, Najee Harris, David Montgomery, Brian Robinson, all in my lineup. That feels nice. And then DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, and Tyler Lockett feels like a strong wide receiver core, assuming Mark Andrews plays. This is, to me, probably one of my strongest teams and strongest lineups. I'll get into a very popular league here, Scott Fishbowl. I'll start running through these a little bit faster. Justin Herbert, Najee Harris, Jamal Williams, that's all locked in for me. A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson. We're going to have to monitor the Christian Watson situation here. But I have a lot of auxiliary options. Like, A-Shane was declared healthy. That's good. Jaleel McLaughlin is supposed to be involved week 1. Puka Nacua should have an evolving role. That's good. I still have Trey McBride and Chico Okonkwo, kind of see what they do in terms of tight ends. But I'm going to be rolling with Evan Ingram. So at this point, I'm actually, in this instance, going to switch Christian Watson into my flex so that just in case he's not available, I'll be able to switch him out for somebody else. FF7s. This is an IDP tournament, so defense is involved in this one. And again, Christian Watson, I have him so many places. Very high on Christian Watson this year. Hoping his hamstring is okay. But in this instance, I'm actually just going to go ahead, and so I don't have to remember every single lineup that I have Christian Watson in. I'm just going to put Zay Flowers in. Even if Christian Watson decides he is available, I'm just going to take a healthy Zay Flowers for this week, so I don't have to have Christian Watson in every single one of my lineups. And because I feel like Zay Flowers is a very competent replacement. And then the rest of this lineup is solid. Josh Allen, Travis Etienne, Jamal Williams, Garrett Wilson. That's all locked in. Deontay Johnson. We'll have him in this league. Again, seeing a lot of crossover. A lot of times I feel like there's years where I'm like, oh, this team, I'm going to just draft completely different guys. No, this year I very much was locked in on my, my guys that I wanted. And I drafted them very consistently in a lot of leagues. As far as IDP, Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson. So I get to enjoy both sides of the ball for Detroit tonight. And then we have Jaquan Brisker. I like Brisker, but I'm actually going to be starting. No, I don't know if I'm going to start Richie Grant instead because I'm going to take the matchup against the rookie quarterback. I know Jordan Love is technically a rookie, but Jordan Love had the opportunity to redshirt and learn from Aaron Rodgers, and I foresee Richie Grant and Atlanta kind of beating up a little bit more on the offense of Carolina than I envision happening for Chicago and Green Bay. So we finally get into a dynasty league. This is one of my other leagues that I commissioned, a 10-team dynasty league that is Lord of the Rings themed. So that's cool. And very much, look at that, Jerry Jeudy. One of my lonely Jerry Jeudy shares. So we'll switch him with Gabe Davis to give us full flexibility on who we want to put in. Ooh, and this is, we got James Cook right here. Boom. Just going to slide in James Cook. And we're done. So for this team, we'll have Justin Herbert, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Jamar Chase, Gabe Davis, Pat Freiermuth, Dameon Pierce, Christian Kirk, James Cook, Superflex, Daniel Jones, and Pittsburgh defense. This one has no kickers. I almost want to put in Mac Hollins just because I love Mac Hollins this year, but it's not an actual viable play unless you're in a much deeper league. If this was a 16-man league, I could put him in my lineup, but 10-man, I'm not going to do it. Vampire League. I get to beat up on the Vampire in week 1. So, again, we're going to want to make sure that we score as many points as possible. And I am really not that worried about this lineup because Justin Herbert, Najee Harris, Miles Sanders, Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Evan Ingram, Drake London, Justin Tucker, and Pittsburgh defense. The only thing here that I would consider is Atlanta's defense over Pittsburgh. But I just really like Pittsburgh at home. I got a feeling about them. So I'm going to roll with Pittsburgh defense. Also just my team. And I would hate if somehow Pittsburgh defense went crazy and I switched them out. What if that was what made me lose? Wouldn't that be hilarious? But no, I am extremely confident in this lineup, and especially compared to whoever the Vampire is able to grab off waivers to form their lineup. Another IDP league for you defensive minds out there. And again, we're going to have to start running through these a little bit faster because I want to keep this show under an hour. We've got two. This is one of my few Bijan shares that I took. So we're going to be rolling heavy Falcons with both Bijan and Drake London. Actually, you know what? This is a situation. See, it's just going to make it so that it's James Cook. Nah, we'll stick with Drake London, I guess, in that case. I already have Gabe Davis and James Cook going in another lineup. I don't want to double up on that. So we're just going to leave this exactly as is. And just looking at how I built the defense and how I generally build defenses in IDP leagues, because there's not always a lot of IDP content out there. There are some really great IDP minds, though, so go follow Esteemed Outlaw and IDP_Iggy, and there's plenty more, but they will basically lead you to the whole land of IDP fantasy football. So shout out to those guys. But Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams, and the rookie there, it's not Jalen, is it? No, I'm forgetting his first name, unfortunately, but I guess I could just open it. It is Jalen Carter, who I really like. So I built this defensive line out. I'm really expecting literally 30 sacks between Bosa and Quinnen Williams, assuming that Bosa is healthy. And then I went and I really stacked my safeties with Jalen Petrie and Minkah Fitzpatrick. And Trayvon Diggs went like crazy late. Generally, you don't want cornerbacks for your DBs, but with the turnover upside that Diggs had and the name value, I couldn't believe how late I was able to get him. And then for linebackers, I have Shaq Thompson, the rookie Tyree Wilson. I took the shot on. We're going to have to take him out of the lineup. Ooh, yeah. Let's get us some Thursday action. I'm going to put in Malcolm Rodriguez. And then we have Khalil Mack and Juwan Bentley. So Mack is definitely going to be spot start. Miami, it'll be the first game of the season. That's when he's going to be his healthiest, and they're at home, so I'm definitely going to want him there. But Khalil Mack, obviously, still a good player, still a really good player, but not, the stalwart defender that he used to be. But he is going to have value still, and to get him very late as a linebacker, I felt like was good value. I also was able to bolster just some depth with Lucas Van Ness, the rookie for Green Bay, who I expect to be pretty solid. And I waited really long on linebackers, but Drew Tranquil had hit one of his best seasons with the Chargers, and now he's going over to the Chiefs. I could even, oh, you know what? Should we double up? Let's double up. Why not? Actually, you know what? Oh, I'm going to put Tranquil over. Yeah, that makes more sense. I love Malcolm Rodriguez, but we're actually play Tranquil instead. And I want to see, because they brought in that rookie Jack something or another. We'll see how it shakes out in Detroit. So there we go. Let's move on here. A Dynasty Startup Superflex. And there again, Christian Watson popping up. This is a deeper league, but we have Deion Jackson available to us, who we can slide in for Hunter Renfrow, who I do like Hunter Renfrow in a very, very deep league like this. And when I say a very deep league like this, I'm talking about the rosters are really deep. Obviously, 12 team, not like the end of the world or anything. Tom Brady's my mascot, by the way. If you're like, why are you rostering Tom Brady? It's because like literally that's how long this draft went. Because by the end, it was like, why are we even taking these players? They're not going to make rosters, and most of them have gotten cut. Actually, Corey Davis, even I'm going to have to replace him. So, got a few mascots on this team. When you get into those deep dynasty leagues, that can happen. But basically, that lineup's good to go. Assuming Christian Watson is healthy, obviously. Here's another one. Oh, there we go. Cooper Kupp. One of the very few Cooper Kupp shares that I have. And luckily, we have Deontay Johnson to replace him. So that's easy. And Terry McLaurin. What's going on with Terry? Practice is in full. Well, Mr. Terry McLaurin. I do have Damian Harris as a potential. Okay, well, we'll hang on to that. And if Terry McLaurin for some reason was not available, I could slide in Damian Harris. But everyone else, solid, locked in for me. DeAndre Swift, I'm just going to roll with it week one. I actually think he's going to be like the starter. I see him as the most talented running back out of that group. I know, I get it. It didn't work out in Detroit. I think Philadelphia may be able to unlock him. Another 10-man dynasty. We're going to have to start just like really rolling through these, but these are all dynasties, so we won't have to spend very much time. Just very quickly. Yeah, this is 10-man dynasty. This is a no-brainer. We got Montgomery and Amon-Ra not in our flex, so we're all good here. Nothing to change. Move on. These are like the leagues where it's like I almost forgot I even joined these leagues. Again, we got Van Jefferson as a viable backup, Mac Hollins and Zeke as really gross backup, but we have backups available. If for some reason Mark Andrews and Thielen were not available to us, but otherwise we're good here. Mahomes, Chubb, P. Ryan. Do. Is there anyone on my bench that really shouldn't be? Not Pacheco. If he's available, do I? No. That's why he's on the bench. Even if Pacheco was healthy and totally available, I think I would rather play Samaje P. Ryan. Would I play Pacheco over Mac Hollins, however? That was a good question. You know what? They're probably going to lean. If Kelsey doesn't play, though, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We are going to put in Pacheco. We're going to put him in our RB2 spot. I have a feeling that actually he's just totally being overlooked, and they could just lean on the running game to get past Detroit because, Detroit's defense kind of sucks against the run. So we could actually end up just seeing a lot of the running backs while everyone's trying to guess which wide receiver pops off tonight. What if it's none of them? And it turns out to just be a big Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon game and CEH mixes in a little bit. I know that's really not what everyone wants to hear, but it's possible. So we're just going to put Pacheco in and kind of see what happens. And then I'll have to decide if I want to play Samaje P. Ryan as more of a safe option instead of Mac Hollins. And finally, the last Dynasty League. And we can skip this one because it's best ball, so that'll take care of itself. And this is all basically done already. I have Kelsey in this league. This is the only one I have him. I already have taken him basically out of my lineup. Luckily, I have Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. I'm rolling with Hunter Henry. Gesicki missed some time with injury in camp, and Hunter Henry reportedly was just much better in camp. I see him as being the clear red zone option, and arguably you could say he's the top target on the team. He has probably the most rapport with Mac Jones. Like the top wide receiver is Juju Smith-Schuster. So from a tight end perspective, and I made a small video, if you are the Travis Kelce manager, I would be looking for Hunter Henry as a replacement. But everything else here, this is the league where I'm like the most overpowered I could possibly be. And it's because I went and made a bunch of trades. So it's like, yeah, I have Mahomes and Kelsey stacked. I have Derrick Henry and Cam Akers. I have Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Stephon Diggs, and Tyreek Hill. Again, I've, Josh Reynolds is a very deep flyer that I'm having to play because this is like a 16-man dynasty league with very deep roster. So that's the worst player that I'm having on the field tonight. But I could actually see him getting a touchdown because Jameson Williams is suspended, and he's essentially going to be the wide receiver too. So it's going to be Amon-Ra and Josh Reynolds. Don't be totally shocked if Josh Reynolds catches a touchdown tonight. Just saying. I got Riley Patterson here, kicker. Kickers are people too. So I got a kicker going tonight. Got a little bit of everything going tonight. That's how it is when you're in, I think I got 19 fantasy leagues on Sleeper and then the one on Yahoo, which I'll check in on before the end of this video. But you can see very deep bench, but not anyone that we're wanting to get into the lineup. Down on my taxi squad even. The only guy viable is Michael Wilson. I'm not ready to take him off and use him as a starter yet, because once I take him off taxi, I can't put him back on. And so finally, the Yahoo League. Another super flex. Another league where I have Mark Andrews. This league was interesting. I felt like I almost had to remind people in the draft that it was super flex because I was at 109 in a 10-man league, and so I was able to double tap Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson, which in super flex, that's killer. But the rest of this team, the way it came together, Mark Andrews stacked with Lamar, love it. Jahan Dotson, love it. Deontay Johnson, DJ Moore, Najee Harris, Khalil Herbert, Drake London. I'm pretty solid all around. Solid bench too. Zach Charbonnet, I really like his potential this year. Brian Robinson, talked about earlier. I could even see myself starting him over Drake London if I just want to play it safe. But I do think Drake London is going to have a good game. I have Michael Thomas here, Tank Bigsby, Sam Laporte. That's the only thing. If for some reason Mark Andrews misses, I'm going to not be able to use Laporta because Laporta is going tonight. And I'm not willing to just play Laporta over Mark Andrews. So kind of in a little bit of a pickle for this first week, given that I took Laporta to essentially be a guy I could see ascending into being a viable option for me in this flex spot. But, replacing Mark Andrews in the weeks he's not available. But really, it's just this is a bad week for that strategy. And also, I'm going to have to decide a really tough drop. Probably is going to end up being Jonathan Mingo. But I'm going to have to make a drop for a kicker unless I'm just so confident that I'm going to beat my opponent that I can do it without a kicker. So what I might do, honestly, is, and it's dangerous, but I might actually just wait until, because I have all these matchups here are all very early on Sunday. These are all early Sunday matchups. So I could literally wait and just wait until the later Sunday matchup and potentially grab a kicker there, or one of the kickers. Tyler Bay is probably going to be owned, but Zwerline should be available in only a 10-man on waivers. So I'm really going to push holding on to my actual players as long as humanly possible. And then I'll have to make a kicker decision at some point. But I could even see myself punting kicker to next week if I'm so far ahead of if I'm 50 points ahead of my opponent and they're basically tapped out. Maybe I just won't even get a kicker this week. Though I will say my opponent, again, being 10-man, they are pretty strong, but they're only going to have one player on Monday. So if I have like a solid lead, then that's where maybe I just punt kicker and just don't even take one this week. But I guess we'll see. So we ran a little bit long. That's okay. We're going to wrap it up right here. Full stop. Boom. Because I do not want to take up any more of your precious time on this wonderful, wonderful Thursday evening. So I'm going to get myself ready, grab the wings, grab the pizza, grab the beers, grab whatever you need. I'm going to be grabbing the bong. Definitely going to get some snacks, going to get some munchies. And, man, I'm just going to enjoy some good old-fashioned, real NFL football. Thank you so much for joining. Again, live stream is going to be on Sunday. I will be there to answer all your questions. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me on Twitter. You can reach out to me on TikTok. You can even reach out to me on Facebook. I don't care. Wherever I'm on social media, feel free to go ahead, ask me questions. Especially if you can drop them in the YouTube comments, that would be really awesome to help the algorithm. And again, make sure you like and subscribe the show, and make sure that you go sign up to Fantasy Football Advice.network. Thank you, and catch you all on the flip side.
He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs at the 50. He runs at the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms, bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.